You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming. As some of you new out on Twitter, the Gaming Drag, today I'm coming back at you into the Let's Play episode of The Echo, Flynn's Path. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Alrighty. He seems to think for a moment. I'll see you guys later. Chase, we're gonna talk. Right. I give him an awkward thumbs up. He nods, turning and making his way offward. Daxton pushes the tips of his fingers together, trepidation upon his face despite his initial request. I'd offer you a seat in this house if this house still had furniture. He lets out a small puff of air, looking around and seeming to acknowledge his environment for the first time. Carl told me you grew up here. Yeah. The place isn't as old as it looks, by the way. I think my uncle just really dug the whole prairie aesthetic. Huh. I'm admittedly a wee bit done with that theme at this point. Growing up in Colville? No surprise there. It's like, I try to find the right word, a facade of a town. Daxton nods slightly, not about to protest that. He turns, walking past the doorway and into the foyer. Indoor windows, though? Whose idea was that? What? I follow him. Daxton points to the teak-bordered windows. Surprisingly, none of the glass has been shattered yet. Oh, well, obviously not mine. My parents enclosed part of the porch when I was like 10. They left the windows, though. Daxton nods as he paces about the room, the floorboards creaking beneath his unpadded feet. Careful where you walk. I wouldn't doubt junkies shoot up in here. That stops the salamander, the blue-eyed fellow shifting his gaze back to me. Right, good idea, that. He sniffs. So, I lean against the back wall after a cursory glance, making sure it's spider-free. Daxton says nothing. In fact, he just keeps looking at me. A sense of unease begins to tingle down my spine, and I'm reminded of last night, the way Daxton looked at me in the car as we drove home. He didn't say much the whole ride, thankfully. At first, he asked about my lack of a shirt, but after I didn't respond, he kept pretty quiet. I had a dream last night. Can I tell you about it? I feel a mixture of relief and awkwardness. Sure? Daxton's mouth pulls to one side, his face contorting into a sort of sheepish half-smile. Well, it wasn't truly like a dream or nothing of the sort I'm familiar with. Dreams are the sorting and categorizing of the happenings of the days by the subconscious of the mind. You know how they are, where the sky never looks quite day or night, always some sort of violet or reddish dusky setting. You always have some limited control of what environs surround you, again, mainly on the subconscious level. In the dream, if you're worried, then you'll have a right to be worried, like a self-fulfilling prophecy or what have you. Fearing that a bad thing might happen to a loved one, a bad thing will happen to a loved one. Afraid that something scary might be in the room, then something scary is in the room. I look around briefly. He gesticulates in a swirling motion to get my attention, shifting to digress. It's why the stress, the traumatized, and the guilty get night terrors more than anyone else. Daxton lets his hands fall to his hips, his eyes trailing downward to the dusty boards beneath my feet. Lately, I've been getting a lot of bad dreams, but ones that don't seem to, I suppose align with me. I'm doing things that I've never done in places I've never been. That sense of subconscious agency is entirely absent. Like, I'm out in the pines and holding this right... Daxton. He looks up. No offense, but, where is this going? Daxton's posture seems to go a little more rigid, the salamander's nostrils flaring as he exhales. I'm beginning to think that Daxton is a lot weirder than I initially thought. Okay, I'm getting to it. Last night, after you dropped me off, I fell asleep in the recliner in the living room. Shortly after, it felt like I woke up, but I wasn't at the house anymore. I was in some school computer lab I didn't recognize. You were there, except it wasn't you. He clears his throat. It was a different you, younger, louder. Carl and Flynn were kind of standing behind you too, but they weren't saying anything. Sometimes I'd blink my eyes and they were there, and sometimes they weren't. I think words were coming out of your mouth, but I couldn't make anything out. It was like a waterfall was rushing behind me. I started to hate you. I couldn't believe I had hung out with you voluntarily. Like, the sight of you made my stomach hurt. I blink, frowning some, before opening my mouth to speak. However, Daxton cuts me off, continuing on. Taking all water time. Delicious. There was something on the computer screen next to you that you kept showing over and over again. It was this other otter sitting in his bedroom with a big sports poster on the wall. Other otter. And he was crying, staring at something in the corner of the room. Again, you were just playing the same scene over and over again. Eventually, you just deleted it outright, and that made me mightily perturbed for whatever reason. I wanted to hit you, or so I did. Daxton sees a deepening frown on my face, and he smiles very slightly, though quickly goes back to his more serious expression. It was like I was teleported across the room. The next thing I knew, I had grabbed you and hit you, but your body had the consistency of loamy sand. You were crumpling and dissolving every time I touched you. Your fur turned gray and speckled, and your face didn't look like you anymore. Everyone else started grabbing me. I recognized Carl's arms, but there were a bunch of others. Even you somehow had a hold on me. No Flynn, though. Hell, I couldn't even see him anymore. I remembered calling for him, hoping he was back from that bar. Next thing I know, I'm on a beach. I'm just standing there, watching the tide lick at the sand beneath my feet. And there's this... Daxton pauses, crossing his arms over his chest. He moves across the room to lean against the wall beside me, staring ahead. Well, it's just this... I don't know what it was. I'm thinking it was a face, but it could have been a weird-ass rock. Kind of reminded me of an electrical outlet. Everything just went dark, and I was staring at the rock face, which was staring at me in turn. I was just stuck there in real time, staring at it for around 20 minutes. Then it faded away. Jesus. After that, I was at this sort of fort-looking place. Lots of old-timey looking folk around with this trumpet guy emblem everywhere. I kept asking the people around me where I was, but they'd always just shuffle away. I followed this one fox lady with a big old blouse on around a corner, and suddenly I was in Echo again. The sky was wrong, but it was Echo. I walked into my house and saw myself in the kitchen. Flynn and Carl and you were there too. Ad Astra was on the TV. There was this uneasiness in the air, because I was pissed about the whole computer lab thing. I wanted to yell at you about it. Carl for grabbing me, Flynn for abandoning me, and the other me for not being the real me. The salamander rubs his smooth forehead some, and seems to realize something. You didn't have a goatee either, which I thought was funny at the time. I remember saying, I guess someone shaved off your goatee after all. I reach up, pinching the excess scruff hanging below my chin, still there. You seem confused about that. I'm confused about that now. Well, hold on. Flynn, Carl, and the other me just vanished at that point. I asked you where they went, and you told me they went outside to, and I quote, jerk each other off. Wow. You've, only known Carl a day. That's a bit forward. Be quiet. You're completely different than the you from the computer lab. Older, for sure. We sat down, drank a beer, and reminisced about things I don't remember. I stopped feeling so uneasy and scared. It's like he melted away all the weird, bad shit that had happened prior. It became nighttime, and then you said you were sorry. I asked why you were sorry, and you hugged me. It was... Salamander presses his thumbs together, avoiding looking at me now. The realest thing I've ever felt in a dream. I could feel your heartbeat, the bristle of your fur, the fabric of your shirt, everything. He touches his own chest and slowly curls his hand into a fist before letting it fall back to his side. You told me that to forgive someone is to release a prisoner, and discover that the prisoner was you. You let go of me and began fiddling with something. I heard Flynn laughing and turned around to see him walking through the door. Out of the corner of my eye, you began taking a bracelet off your wrist. You held it up in front of my face and... Bracelet? Daxton shifts. Yeah. Did it have a little metal anchor attached to it? I don't know, I couldn't really see it because, well, Flynn was there, but it wasn't a dream anymore. What? He had just gotten home from the bar. Didn't say 2 words to me and beelined to his room. There was no bracelet, of course, because I was wide friggin' awake. I'm guessing the laugh wasn't real either. It never felt like I was asleep in the first place, actually. But I'm left with the feelings of it all. Like, haven't you ever had a dream about somebody and felt completely different about them afterwards? I don't mean just, like, weird puberty sex dreams about your cousins or something like that. I furrow my brow some. Yeah, I guess, to the former. Are you saying that you feel that way about me now? I guess, hence why I'm talking to you. I go quiet for a second. I'm still not sure how to feel. I don't really know what to make of it, Daxton. I'm not really the eclectic spiritual sort. Me neither, that's the thing. I mean, I own a Dreamcatcher and a couple New Age albums, but who doesn't? I raise my paw. Daxton looks at me, slightly rolling his eyes. Didn't you say yesterday you had something similar happen to you, though? When you passed out at your place? At our place. I pause. Then nod. He's like, no, water time. I pause, then nod. Must have been the fishy cheese bread we ate. You thought it had a fishy taste too, right? I told Flynn not to put his catches in the damn freezer on top of the other food. Daxton sighs. I don't know, Chase. Talking to you about it seemed like a better idea in my mind. I shake my head, waving my paw to the side. No, it's fine, really. I'm glad that I'm not the only one dealing with this sort of stuff for once. Daxton perks slightly, looking me over. For once? Damn, I shouldn't have said anything. I hate trying to explain this. I drift my gaze to the cracked ceiling, staring at the hole where a brass chandelier once hung. I try to put on a nonchalant tone. I I have mental problems or something. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see Daxton cock his head toward me. Smooth. Like sleep paralysis, lucid nightmares, that sort of thing. Sorry, y'all. A little tickle in the back of my throat. Sometimes I don't have any problems with them, but as of late, I don't know. I try not to think about it too much, otherwise I get all insomniatic. Man, that sucks. They all know about it. I gesture toward the backyard. I can still faintly hear TJ chatting excitedly about something, with Jenna chiming in every now and then. At first, everyone thought I was making it all up to be special. When did you start getting them? I don't know, around my tween years? I used to get really bad nightmares around then. I watched some clown TV movie and it traumatized my effed ass. Effed? Daxton looks over toward me, seeming to realize the need for clarification. Tadpole. Oh, cute. Daxton sputters out a dismissive noise. I was not cute. Well, neither was I. I was kind of a shithead. Daxton peers at me a moment before his gaze trails up toward the brown fur on my scalp. It takes me a second to register. Regarding how I treated other people. Gotcha. I reach up, trying to make my head fur lay flatter. Daxton, meanwhile, reaches into his pocket and checks his phone. Neither of us says anything for a while. I'm gonna head out, but thank you for listening and such. Oh, yeah, no problem, man. You, gonna go home and do some writing? I think I might. Either that or I'd put on some new age music. I'm sure Flynn loves that. What sort of music does Flynn like? I don't think he does. What? I don't think he listens to music, like, in general. Who doesn't like music? I shrug. Someone like Flynn, I guess. Huh, makes sense to me. He shoves his phone back into his pocket, stepping forward. Hey, since chances are probably I won't see you again, I just want to say it was good meeting you. I find myself smiling in spite of the previous tone of the conversation. Likewise. Thanks for introducing me to Carl. Never had a rich friend before. You lived in Colville. Have you never had a rich friend? Hey, I didn't live in the ritzy tourist pack part of it. Plus, I was homeschooled. Oh, that explains a lot. Shithead. He grinned some, and I could see the pink of the inside of his mouth. It's quite the contrast from the rest of him. I feel a bit better now. See you, Chase. Hug him. Alright, self-fulfilling prophecy, here it comes. Here what comes? Oof! I moved to embrace him with a bit more velocity than I initially intended. Nearly sending the tall amphibian back against the wall. He lets out a bemused noise, patting my back. I return the gesture before pulling away. Almost as graceful a dancer as you are a hugger. Ha! Now, time to find Carl. With that, he turns and heads out toward the backyard. Looking around, I don't see any sign of Leo. In fact, his van's no longer out front. I reach into my pocket, feeling my phone as a guilty sensation takes hold. I just know I'm probably going to get a whole nother wave of passive-aggressive text messages that I don't want to deal with. At this point, I probably deserve them. I can't keep dodging him like this. I notice something odd sitting on top of the water heater. Curious, I pick it up. Huh. Oh. I never knew Mom framed this. I mean, it was just a shitty selfie I took my first day in Pueblo. She kept insisting I send her a picture of myself on my big day. For some reason, I thought not smiling or looking at the camera was the cool thing to do. Second now, water time. Wonder if they forgot this during the move. Though it kind of sucks. I wouldn't be surprised they left it on purpose. I haven't talked to them much lately. I should go. I step outside. The air is still kind of hazy, and the smell of hot dogs is pretty palpable. Look over across the yard. TJ and Jenna are sitting at the table. TJ's munching down on his third helping of cut-up hot dogs, while Jenna sits up top with her feet hanging off the side. It's kind of funny how small she is, like she never grew up past age 13. My mind drifts back to the other Phoenix in the smoke room. They all kind of had that youthful appearance to them. I wonder if that's part of the appeal. I'm surprised you were so comfortable walking around in there. I glance over my shoulder, looking back at the weather-worn house. Huh? Why? The spiders. You're still afraid of them, right? I had been trying not to think about that the whole time, actually. It felt like there were lots of them in the house even when I lived there, and that was with my parents bug-bombing the place every month. I resist the urge to reach down and rub my feet, in case there were any walking around in my fur. Not, like, deathly. I cross my arms over my chest, tugging some at my fabric of my shirt. Right, of course. TJ snickers some. Jenna pulls out her phone, beginning to tap away at the digital keypad. By the way, we found something else that might help you with your project. Oh? It's in my purse. Could you grab it? Sure. What is it? Alright, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!